Welcome, everyone. It's a real pleasure to have you here today. We are very fortunate to have Shashi Bhat present to us today about communications and workplace culture here in Canada. Shashi is an employment advisor with the IT infrastructure program, and she has a real passion for helping newcomers be successful. So we look forward to Shashi's comments. We'll have a chance for question and answers after the presentation. You will see that there's a Q&A box that you can type your questions into. We will try to get to as many questions as possible within the limited time we have. So without further ado, over to you, Shashi.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. It is great to be here and talk about communication and Canadian workplace culture, especially when it comes to the new Canadians. I myself, being an immigrant here 20 years back, I can very well imagine the anxieties or anxiousness which a new Canadian has when they come to Canada and they have to get into or transition into this new environment. Um, so yeah, this is what does the work culture mean to you? And I would like the audience think about it. Is it something which is like together? You can see in this picture, um, everybody is sitting down, they are smiling, they are chatting. Do you see something like this in your previous country? And a lot of immigrants who come here, they have a different culture back home. They have a different work culture. And once they come here, they see a little bit of difference. The basic culture would be the same, like doing your job, um, coming on time to your workplace, um, having a positive attitude. But there are certain um, differences which we need to adapt, which we need to know. So here in this picture, you can see that people are really having a very informal chat, even if they are, sitting in a workplace setting. Um, I just wanted the audience to have a look at it. And this is something really important for Canada. And this is something which we also need to know so that when any conversation happens, say, for example, the first one here, everybody knows this is the Canadian map, national flag, sorry, not Canadian map, national flag of Canada. Now, if you see the other one here, which is a tree and looks like a fall, and it is seems like a maple tree, the maple tree, which you see all around here. And then there is another one is a maple leaf. Then if you see this one, um, this is the Great Seal. Um, then the other one is the coat of arms. Then you see National Horse of Canada. Then you see the beaver. Then you see hockey, Canadian national winter sport. And then you have lacrosse, Canada's national summer. So these are certain symbols which we would see around, which people talk around. And when you know these, when you talk about these symbols, when you verbalize, when you communicate that, that is where the people will feel connected to you and you will feel connected to this new country. The agenda for today's webinar would be, we will talk about Canadian workplace etiquettes. We will also talk about Canadian communication patterns and speech. We'll talk about Canadian experience, what it really means, especially when you are looking for a new job here in this new country of yours, and you feel that some of the employers may be thinking about, oh, you don't have a Canadian experience, or what is there on your resume. So what it really means when we talk about Canadian experience, you must be thinking that it is like catch 22. Like you don't have a work here, and then when you are looking for a work, the employer is asking for Canadian experience. So it is like you don't have a work and they need the Canadian work experience. So that is the challenge. But what actually really it means to have a Canadian experience. And we will also analyze certain incidents which would occur. Now, these are some basic expected business etiquette. Say, for example, greetings. When you come to a workplace, you often say, hi, good morning, how is the weather? You should know that weather of Canada is very much talked about, whether it is summer, whether it is winter, whether it's fall, whether it's spring. So you really need to talk about that. And you need to greet uh, to people who are in your workplace. Privacy is something very, very important. If you feel that you are um, about to go into the room of one of your colleagues or in the workplace area, you really need to see that whether they really want you there or they are doing some work there. Now, how are their non-verbal gestures? So privacy is something which is really respected here. Well, the times and deadlines. If you are given a work, you need to be on time. You need to work it within the deadlines. If you are not able to do that, you need to communicate it to your supervisor or to a manager that you are not able to do that. You don't have to just keep on doing and without even notifying. So that is very, very important. What are the rules and regulations of your workplace? You need to know those rules and regulations. Say, for example, what are what is the dress code? How do you communicate with your colleagues? How do you communicate with your supervisor? How do you communicate with your management? In your previous country, maybe it was different. Here also, it would be different. Now, whether do you eat alone at your desk or you eat with others? How is that? What are those etiquettes around your workplace? Your coffee, lunch, dinner meetings. It is very common in North America to have these dinner meetings, to have the coffee breaks, to have the lunch breaks, and then you can have lunch meetings, you can have coffee break meetings, you can have dinner meetings, and that is very common and professional in this part of the world. So you need to know also what are those ways. And outside of work, whether you need to develop that relationship with your colleagues outside the work. Normally, it's said that it's Mondays are formal and Fridays are casual. So, of course, not this time because of COVID. We are all in our own comfort zones and in our own homes. But once the situation is better, we go back to our workplace. You need to know that, okay, on Fridays, normally people go out. They go for, say, a small break, lunch break, they go all together, or after work, they will go for a small meeting outside just to casually enjoy each other's company and not talk about your work. So, how do you present yourself? You need to be professional. You need to know what is the dress code. You need to know with whom to talk what. You need to know how much you need to be, personal with someone, professional with someone. Normally, it is said that when you are working, you are not there to make relationships. You are there to do your work. But a professional relationship is always welcome. Handshakes. Of course, you also need to keep in mind due to the COVID-19 restrictions. But as things warm up, as things, go out there, we are able to go back to our work environment. Maybe handshakes would come back again, but at the moment, no. You can do virtual handshakes while in your comfort zone. Eye contacts and hand gestures. Non-verbal communication is very, very important in this part of the world. You should mean what you are saying. It should be seen from your own physical gestures, physical behaviors. If you are happy, it should be seen on your face. If you are smiling, it should come from within. And if you are talking to somebody and if you really mean it, if your intention is that, you should look directly into the eye. Eye contact is very, very important here in your workplace, because then the person will think that, yes, you are genuine. Certain personal space interruptions, you also need to keep in mind that, if somebody is working, you cannot go there and interrupt. You need to ask permission, or you probably need to send an email saying, hey, I would like to, talk to you. Do you have a minute? And wait for their confirmation. In a workplace, people want you to take an initiative, not when you start. At least you should have a 2 weeks period to get to know people, to get to know the policies and procedures at a workplace. But as time goes on and as you feel comfortable in that environment, your colleagues, your supervisor, your manager would want you to take an initiative, maybe come up with some idea. You are not there to change. Remember, you are not there to change the company. You are not there to change the policies and procedures, but you can always initiate something. You can initiate a new project. You can talk about it. You can share your ideas with people. Here, any idea is welcomed. Disagreements are also taken into consideration. If you don't agree with someone, you can always communicate that. It is not thought to be rude, but in a very professional and polite manner. Three things you always need to keep in mind. You should watch, you should listen, and you should learn. So it's like 80-20. You should listen 80% and you can talk 20%. But as you are, you know, going into a company, as you have maybe a couple of months, you should visualize, you should see what is happening. If you look at the picture here, if two people are talking here and someone is just peeping in, that's not a good gesture. But you can, other pictures here can see that the communication which they are doing is very genuine and it's very positive. Certain tips to get back on track in the workplace, at least at the initial weeks. Present yourself professionally, as we talked, and also your dress code should be there. You can ask people what is the dress code. In some places, you have to dress formally or semi-formal, which is like a pant or a coat, a suit. And in some places, you can have a casual shirt, not very formal, which is known as semi-formal. So you need to also ask people around you, what is the dress code? Find the company's resources, very, very important. What are the company's values? What are the vision? What is the mission of the company? You need to keep that in mind also, so that you know that whether your mission and vision is at par with the company's vision and mission. What are the resources? What is, where are you going to sit? With whom are you going to work? Who is your manager? Who is your supervisor? Once you are there, you should meet people, greet them, and learn their names. It is very, very important to address people by their names. If you don't remember names, and I understand that people don't remember the names, I don't remember the names immediately. You can always say, hey, sorry, I didn't get your name, or it will take me some time to remember and learn your names, so that people feel connected. It is said that when you address someone by their names, you will know that there is a connection. You will know that they will really feel that you are respecting them and you are being part of them. Take your work seriously. Work is worship, as we all know. You need to take your work seriously. You need to show that you are there to perform. If you have any doubts, if you are not able to do it, go to your manager, go to your colleagues, ask them for help. You need to ask them for help. If you ask for help, you will be given. I remember even myself when I came to Canada as a new immigrant, I would never ask for help because I would feel, oh, maybe they are not going to help me or they will think I'm dumb. But if you ask for help, at least you are not going to do the wrong work. You are not, you will have the clarifications from somebody else in your company. Start building your relationship. As I said, that you are not there to make personal relationship, but professional relationship are always encouraged. So you need to see that, the relationships has to be congenial, the relationships has to be genuine, and they need to be professional. By that I mean that whenever you need any help, you can go easily to the people. You are not there to break the bridges, you are there to make the bridges. Follow office etiquettes. Say for example, what is the time to come in? Always come 10 minutes early. Or if you have, if you have more time at your disposal, maybe come half an hour early. Get an agenda done, what you need to do at that point in your office, so that by the time the office starts, you are already there, with all your pointers. You are ready to work. Ask for feedback. Normally, office people have meetings. You can talk about what you have done. Be prepared, and then ask for feedback, whether you are on the right track. Um, there is always an constructive criticism, where people may criticize, but they may not criticize you just for the sake of it. It is known as constructive criticism. They may say that, well, you could have done like this. Normally, sometimes there is direct feedback and indirect feedback. By indirect feedback, it is like, say, for example, you have done a report and you have gone to your supervisor, and your supervisor, if your supervisor finds that there is something more to be added, the supervisor may tell you, hey, your report is very good, um, but at the same time he would say, um, he or she would say, it would have been even better if you would have clarified these ideas, but excellent first attempt. Next attempt would be even more better. So this is kind of an indirect way of giving you a feedback. But sometimes people also give direct feedback, where they would say, oh, maybe you need to do this, maybe you need to do this, maybe change it here. But always people would in the end give you a positive uh, feedback, saying, hey, great job, next time it would be even better, third time it would be even better. The encouragement you can see often in your workplace environment. um, don't be hard on yourself. Okay, you are there in your workplace. Don't try to be there 12 hours working. You will get tired. Then you have no time to, refresh, get back that energy for the next day. You need to have that balance. But at the same time, when you are working, give your 100%. When you are not working, give your 100% to yourself, to your health, so that you are ready for next day. Employers don't want to see people sick. They don't want to see people tired. They want you to be energized, and that is only when you maintain the balance. Um, there's a scenario, say, for example, a lot of people in their original country, they may not have that sense of time. And I'm not saying that for everybody, but me as an immigrant, when I came here, I would see that everybody was on time. Even the buses are on time. Even the, trains are on time. They will not be even 1 second out of the time. But whereas the country where my original country where I was born, The buses would be half an hour late, 1 hour late. So time is very, very important here. Say, for example, there's a scenario that Vito, one of the new Canadians, he would arrive at his orientation session at 9:10 instead of 9 o'clock in the morning. He would be always 5 minutes late for his meetings. So, and that would be something normal. So, what do you see out of this? People would look at him and see why he's always running for the meetings, he's late, he doesn't have that sense of time, but they would not tell anything to him so that he doesn't get offended. Or they didn't want to make him feel bad. But it is our duty to see that, okay, if the time is 9, the time is 9 o'clock. It is not 10 past 9. It's not 10 minutes more. You cannot be late. You need to be early. Um, So something when you are working with your colleagues, when you are working with your manager, when you are working in a team, it is obvious that people expect you to ask questions because that shows that you are interested in that project, in that place, or in that person. So it is very important to ask questions. No question is bad. You may think, oh, shall I ask this question or not? Maybe I would feel that I'm dumb. No, asking question is very, very important. Often offer something about yourself, but not too much. So when you're talking to people, you can talk about who you are, what are your skills, what are your expertise, but don't talk about too much about your family and personal things because that is not professional. Think about how you can assist them, how you can advance or help the other person's goal, how you can advance in your field, how you can have more expertise under your belt, so that people know that you are doing some professional advancement. You are always there learning. When you're talking to people and you have got some information, it is always better to send a follow-up email or a phone call so to thank them or ask for more information. Certain virtual introductions, especially now during this COVID, it is always better to introduce yourself through LinkedIn, through Facebook, through Twitter, through Instagram. Use them for your professional development. Of course, personal people are also using, but it's always better to have your professional online presence. Social media should be used in a professional way so that you are out there, you are seen socially. In a social media, you have shown your presence. Reply to both at the same time and thank the introducer. Say, for example, you are being virtually introduced by someone to somebody else. There's a common person or there are two people who are introducing you virtually. Thank them. Ask for a phone call or a coffee meeting. Of course, coffee meeting virtual. And follow up with the introducer later that whether if the person is fine, if you want to talk to that person separately. And this is to create a network. As you say that 80% of jobs are you get through network. Client facing and soft skills. Soft skills is something which is very, very important in North America. You may find that, say, for example, certain soft skills in your previous country maybe were not used that much. But here in North America, interpersonal skills are considered even more important than the technical. Um, Here, the Canadian market say, or the Canadian workplace environment is like anybody can learn. You can learn. If you have a knowledge, if you have technical skills, if you have project work, you can learn new things. But when it comes to soft skill, when it comes to your attitude, when it comes to your personality, that is something you that's very, very important, and that is something you need to learn too. Say, for example, you were ability to work in a team. having positive attitude towards others. Even if you have a very bad day, even if you are not able to do your work, you need to have a positive attitude. You need to smile. Smile is infectious. Smile is contagious. Um, uh, that is what is important. If you smile, the other person will also smile. Being open-mindedness, being willingness to work. You need to be learning all the time. Till we are alive, we need to learn. Always learning. Like even now, during the COVID times, we were virtually doing this presentation. um, I had to learn a lot, and my colleagues helped me, and my supervisors helped me to get on this. Being very tolerant about people, having flexibility of time, especially now when you are virtual, you should be able to be available anytime, at least from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. um, you don't have to be 12 hours there, but whenever there is an employer calling you at 9 p.m., you should be able to, because you are in your comfort zone, you are not traveling. You should be able to be there virtually. um, Having more presentation skills, work on your presentation skills this time, work on your communication skills this time. Because what happens is sometimes your accent also it becomes an hindrance. Say for example, when I came to this country, I would say instead of environment, I would say environment. And one of my colleagues couldn't understand when I said, oh, the environment, and she would tell me what, and then I had to write down, and she said, oh, environment. So these are certain small things which you need to keep in mind, and which you need to uh, work on. Learn that during this time. um, Motivate others. So very, very important to have that customer service attitude. Customer is always right. That is what you need to keep in mind. So how to make the customers happy, how to keep them safe, how to make them feel respected in your domain. Be polite and courteous to everybody. Be professional, not cool, but not too warm also. So these are certain soft skills which you need to keep in mind. Um, Say, for example, there is this, when Mila began working at a technology company, she was surprised to get emails from the person in the cubicle next to her. In her previous experience, people would chat in the corridor or walk over to someone else's desk. So this is something which is very common nowadays, that you send emails. You keep a record of what you have done. If you have any clarifications, it happens through emails. So this is a new environment nowadays, so you need to keep that in mind. Um, Certain management expectations. We need to know that we need to address seniors formally until we know them. Even if it is said that in North America, you can address anybody with any name or first name or second name or whatever. But I would say that always address the seniors in a very formal way. Say Mr., Ms., or whatever. And then later on, maybe the other person will say, oh, just call me Shashi. Don't call me Mrs. Shashi or Miss Shashi Bhat. Just call me Shashi. So let it be the chance for the other person to say that. But until you know them, until you become friends. Um, but again, you have to know that you are not there to make friendship, professional relationship. You can make suggestions, but decisions rest with the management. As I said, that when you join a company, you are not there to change. You are not there to change their policies. You are not there to change them. You can only make suggestions, and in a very polite manner, but the decision is right there with the management. um, in your company, cultivate allies and networks to advance, because they are the people who may help you. They are the people who will say what are your skills, what you are best in, and where you need to improve. Speak up and say what you mean, but politely. Be humble, show strong customer focus. As I said, that customer is always right. You need to be customer focused. Of course, you need to have your strong ethics, strong values, but at the same time, you need to see that what the customer wants, because you want to retain the customer and the clients. Answer direct questions directly. There are certain direct questions, there are certain indirect questions. So you need to see how to answer them. Only offer to help if you mean it, or if you are asked. Sometimes we tend to help. If we see somebody in trouble, we tend to help, but you need to ask them, shall I help you? Because people may think that you are just intruding in their space. Say, for example, these are some examples of, direct ways of asking, getting the information, and indirect ways. Say, for example, the person A, did you get the file ready for clients XYZ so we can present tomorrow at 9 a.m.? B, not yet. I still have to complete the second half of the report, which I will work on this afternoon. A, I need to see it this afternoon in case there are any changes required. Can you have it on my desk by 3 p.m.? B, I can do that. So this is a direct way of getting the information. Now there is another way of indirect, where you don't want any conflict, or you may feel that, okay, this is a nice way of asking. A, I'm wondering if the client XYZ file is progressing. Do you have an update? Is that the one? So you can see this, yes, what's your progress, but I haven't finished it. Of course, I'm confident. Sorry, I think our time is limited, but here again, it's like, how comfortable is the cultural difference when we talk to each other? When we talk about Canadian experience, so when you say that, oh, we don't have a Canadian experience and I wasn't taken in that job because I don't have Canadian experience, it is not that Canadian experience. It is the employer will see how comfortable is the cultural difference, and can the employer talk to you? Do you know what the Canadian workplace norms are? Will it be extra work for me to train you? Are you good fit for our company? Fitting is very, very important. You may be interested in, you may be trained in, but you may not fit in the company culture. Some good stuff is, you need to volunteer somewhere mainstream to learn cultural norms, find Canadians to connect with and ask them questions, be open to learning, identify your own biases. No culture is all good or all bad. Look for signs of diversity, inclusions before you apply. Some flexibilities, modify your accent, as I said, environment and environment. Maybe that's something which you have to learn. Find an app or a coach. Long names can be shortened also, because sometimes it may be very difficult to pronounce. And build up the company, your colleagues, your boss, so they feel they feel that you are part of their team. Certain things you have to keep in mind. 4 C's are very, very important. Clarity, conciseness, coherence, and consensus. Clarity means whenever you are talking to someone, you need to be very clear of what you are talking. Then conciseness means that explanations should be short and to the point. Timely, factual speech is really appreciated in this part of the world. Coherence means what you say should show a logical consequence. A long story where the point is not made clear, that is not important. Your opinions should be backed up with the evidence. Consensus is that you need to draw people into your conversation without actually telling them what to do. So this is something which was a very short presentation of the communication and culture in the Canadian workplace environment. I would ask that if you have any questions.
Sure. Thank you very much, Shashi. That was a lot of content. I know we had limited time to go over, but I'll highlight just a couple of questions that have come in revolving around points that you've already talked about. In the online environment, how do you, for example, create a more professional impression with, you talked about dressing for success for online networking and so on. Can you talk a little bit about what has changed in the post-COVID
in the online?
In the online world, from lots of
Sure.
the general tips that you were giving, and then maybe just highlight what would be some of the most important points, just to reiterate your most important points?
Yes. So as you know that we are all virtual nowadays because of the COVID. I would say that COVID and non-COVID hasn't changed much. You still do the networking, you still call people, you still send them an email, you still go online and see what is available there. You still are on LinkedIn, you still are on Facebook. I would say that the way I am here, I have made my a small office space here. I am, in professionally dressed, and I am keeping everything. There is nothing, any disturbance is not there. So instead of going out there, shaking hands, talking to people, you need to do it virtually. You can set up an online like this video conference with people, and that is what a lot of employers are doing nowadays. You need to still send your resumes to them. You still need to call people, may do cold calling, do information interview, do networking, everything online. There are, so like Zoom is there, there are Microsoft Teams are there, there are videos, there is Skype. Everything needs to be same. You need to be still professional, you need to still be upgrading your skills through online. Everything is online now. We are fortunate that we have technology, and we are using that technology. If you are not able to, like me, I took the help of my colleagues, I took the help of my children, took help of my husband. In the same way, if you have friends, call them. They will call you and explain to you how to go through step by step through this technology. Take online webinars like this. Go on LinkedIn. There are so many webinars. Register on free webinars, or maybe very minimal cost is there, for such webinars. So you really need to do everything what you would do if there was no COVID, except that now you are in your comfort zone. You are, you professionally dressed, you still communicate, you still talk about your elevator speech, you still go through your resumes, and you still can have an interviews with the employers. You still need to do the same thing as you would do earlier. You still need to do the cold calling, networking, but everything is in a virtual thing. Everything is virtually in the comfort zone. Actually, this time you can do much more. You don't have to travel 2 hours. You don't have to travel 4 hours to and fro to meet an employee. You can do it right there in your place in front of your computers. So I would say that basically it is the same thing, except that you are in your comfort zone and you are virtually. You are not shaking hands, but at least you are smiling. So I would say that you still need to do whatever you were doing before.
Great.
I hope
Thank you.
that satisfied.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. So I think we're already behind schedule a little, but one last question. If you could just speak to the differences between workplaces that are in Toronto or the GTA versus other places in Ontario outside of the metropolitan areas. And also, one of the other speakers earlier this morning talked about where most of the hiring would happen in small and medium-sized businesses, in the coming months post-COVID. Would you say that there's a different work culture in small and medium-sized businesses compared to the bigger businesses? And so how can newcomers be better prepared to have that adaptability in that instance?
I would say that first of all, when you are apply to big companies, apply to medium companies, and apply to small companies. Don't think that in your previous country you were general manager, you were in the management. Why should you apply to a small company? You should still apply in all the three categories. I would say the best place for a new Canadian to start would be a small company. And that doesn't mean that if you get an opportunity to work in a big company, just because Shashi had said start with the small company and you will start with a small company. No, I mean to say that if you get an opportunity with a small company, you start with them, because in the small company, you will have more opportunities to learn more skills, you will have more responsibilities, and you will also have opportunities, whatever you have learned, to give them. You can grow much faster in a small company because they rely on you. So small company, same thing with the medium company. In the big company, of course, you are a fish in the ocean. So you may be there, you may have more security job wise. Of course, I don't see that nowadays. There is no security of job anymore. And I feel that you learn when you go to different, you are in different companies, you learn more skills. But it is always better that you can grow in a smaller company, and you will have that say there. Your ideas would be taken into consideration. But that doesn't mean that later on, if you get an opportunity with a big company, you are bringing this immense wealth of experience to the big company. So either you grow with that small company or you move forward. So every 4 to 5 years, people tend to move, and it is advised that you should move in order to learn more skills. So that is one question, one answer. The other is whether the environment would be different if you are in GTA or if you are outside. Mostly the basic rules and regulations or the basic environment of any company is similar. So it really doesn't change much. But yes, I would say that GTA is really exhausted. It is saturated. I would say that if you want to go outside GTA, go to north, go to east, go to west. There are in the northern of Ontario, there are many companies which hire people. If you want to go outside Ontario, you can even go there because people hire there. Unfortunately, all the immigrants come to Ontario or to GTA, and it is really saturated. You would see that only nowadays people are not on the roads. Otherwise, to go from one place to another, it would take you 2 hours driving. So that's a big stress. So I would say if you have to raise a family, if you have to raise your kids, go outside in a very better environment, in a good company where you can grow, where you would contribute to the enhancement of that company.
Great. Thank you very much, Shashi. Sorry, do you want to finish your thought there?
No, I'm done.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. I really want to thank Shashi Bhat for sharing her thoughts and expertise with us, and for putting together such a comprehensive presentation. As I mentioned, Shashi is the employment advisor for our IT infrastructure bridging program, which is part of all the bridging programs that we have here for newcomers at Humber College. There's a link in your Q&A section with a link to the Humber Newcomers page that gives you an idea of all our programs and services. I encourage all the audience to continue to stay connected with us. Follow us on social media, because we want to continue to do events like this to raise awareness about some of the issues that are confronting many newcomers. We want to bring together business and community leaders to help tackle some of these problems. And we want to keep you connected to the resources that are available in the community that can help you. So I want to thank our presenter, and I want to thank you all for attending today's session. I hope you found it all very useful, and we will share copies of the presentation and the materials that were presented today with all of you. We have your emails, so you will receive further instructions in your emails. Again, thank you very much to Shashi, and please stay connected with us. We'd love to hear from you going forward.
Thank you so much, Peter, and thanks all.